Coffee with KetoSImple. My name is Dustin. I'm so glad you're here. This stream will be starting soon, so grab your coffee, get comfortable, and settle in. We're building a strong and supportive community, so say hello in the chat, ask questions, and feel free to use super chats if there's anything that you want to see highlighted. Thank you for being here and being a part of this journey. Let's keep it positive and respectful as we connect and grow together. I can't wait to get started. Good morning and welcome to Sunday Morning Coffee with KetoSImple. Good morning, everyone. How are you all doing this wonderful day? Happy Saturday, everybody. Happy Saturday, everybody. Can you believe it? It's Saturday, or am I saying Saturday? Am I saying Saturday? Sunday. Sunday, Sunday, Sunday. Sunday, Sunday, Sunday. Woo! Well, I mean, it stands to reason that this week has been one of those weeks where, like, I feel like I'm doing things right for a change, right? But I'm also being reminded that this isn't about perfection, right? It's about consistency. I've been staying on track. I've been with much struggle, as always, the house and the situation that I'm in, staying on track, eating the right foods, doing what I need to do. And, there are moments that sneak in. Like the other night, I took a few bites of my granddaughter's food. We were at Culver's, and she had me order her the food that she wanted. And then she left a little bit of it behind. And, it's not because, like, I needed the food, right? But and it wasn't because, I hadn't eaten yet that day. So that was probably kind of a piece of it there. But I hadn't eaten yet. And it was really because I didn't want it to go to waste. She had like 2 chicken tenders and some little pretzel ball things, tiny little pretzel ball things. So I'm like, okay, whatever. So I ate those. What didn't really impact me, I didn't go off the rails or anything like that. I just ate my food when I got home. And, how many of you out there are like that? How many of you out there have trouble letting things go to waste? And, I'm being honest here, like, how many of us do that? It's an old habit. That comes from my mom, my grandma, everybody that I've known. It's like, you let things go to waste. That's something that it's been wired in me for a very long time, right? And and it's funny how those little things can, tell you a lot about where you're at, right? Because it's not about a few bites. It's about the mindset behind it. You don't waste food. The don't waste food mentality. That reflex just to grab something because it's there. Breaking that, it takes awareness. It takes repetition. It takes catching yourself in those moments and closing, or catching yourself in those moments and choosing differently over time. I'd try my best to not do those things. Like one of the things that happened over this last week. So typically we try to have our kids come over on Sunday nights. Shander gets off work at 7:30, usually gets home by 8. The kids hang out till like 10 o'clock. They'll hang out from, they'll get here about 7:30 or whatever and hang out till 10 or 11, and then they go home. At least the one kid who doesn't live here. And that didn't happen. He didn't come over Sunday. He's like, I'm going to come over on Monday. We called him on Monday. He was having a rough time, so he decided they were going to come over on Tuesday. If you were a part of the Tuesday Live, you know that at that point, he came over just in time for the live to start. So I was here by myself. Shander was downstairs with him, and he brought a cake. Now, it wasn't a whole cake. But, I was like, why'd you bring this cake over? He looked at me dead in the face and says, I thought you would like it. And I'm asking him, I'm like, why would you bring me this cake? Why would you think, of course I would like this cake. Of course I'm sure this cake is delicious. Some kind of like, I don't know, crumb cake or something like that. And it kind of irritated me because it's like, first off, we've been doing Tuesday nights for a long time. Now, for a little while, we were doing it during the day, but, so he comes over knowing that we have these lives, and he comes over with this cake, knowing I'm trying to do better. And, and his fiance is looking at me like, well, what do you mean you're trying to do better or whatever? And I'm like, and I had to give her the analogy. It's like, okay, I'm trying to beat an addiction, okay? I'm trying to be better. I'm trying to not eat these foods that cause me trouble. And I look at her and I'm like, it's like trying to give up illicit, chemicals, so to speak. You know what I'm talking about. Living in a house that sells them. It's like if you are, that's like, like how many bartenders do you know who are alcoholics recovering who work in bars and give people drinks all night? I know a few. I don't know how they do it, but they do. But anyway, but it just kind of comes down to that kind of stuff. There's always things in in our house, and our kids have a right to live how they're going to live. They don't, the me putting pressure on them and like being snarky and being, passive aggressive about the food that they bring into the house. Now, sometimes am I better than that? Absolutely not. Sometimes I get frustrated and it slips out. I try to keep it, hospitable and, and like I should, but like, I just really have to stay up in my room, right? I have to try to stay busy. I have to stay out of the environment that makes things harder, right? I can't be downstairs all the time. I go downstairs to do things like watch the baby, if that's something that I need to do, or be around my granddaughter. Downstairs, if it's Chandra and I will have our coffee sometimes, depending on the day. And then just those things. And so I'm just kind of like staying up in my office as much as I possibly can, staying in my room, just trying to stay busy. And, luckily for me, this weekend was pretty good. I mean, we were pretty busy. So he got up early yesterday morning, got Chandra out the door. And then by the time I got her out the door, I had time to kind of get myself cleaned up, take a quick shower, get dressed, get ready. Because we had a 7:45 game for the girl. Our girl started soccer. She's had 2 weeks of practice, which was 2 practices for a kid who knows nothing about soccer to have a game. It was the cutest thing in the world. Just them playing. They're actually a lot better than I thought they were going to be after just 2 practices. A lot of, going the wrong way, taking the ball the wrong way, a lot of things that you would expect, right? Not really being confident in kicking the ball, just a lot of those things, right? Freezing cold. I tried to get some footage of it to send to Chandra because she has to work, but it was worth it. And after that, I stayed engaged. I caught Amy's live. She had a live yesterday with Carnivore Muscle. And then after I wasn't there for about an hour of that live, and then I popped over to Christy's live. She had Amy Berger on. And one thing I want to touch on, I know he's in here. I know that I saw that Rick is in here, and we'll get to the chat and get to everybody in here in a minute. But I just wanted to say that I'm really excited to see, what Rick was doing yesterday in his live stream. I caught some of his live yesterday. After I got back from the game, he was still live for a while. Or maybe before we left. I don't remember what it was. But one of the things that Rick was doing is he was going through, he did like a little section of his live stream where he went through YouTube and was looking at who was going to be live that day. Shouted him out. He shouted me out, said I was going to be live today at 7:30. And he went and we were talking about Amy's live, and there was a couple other people's lives throughout the day. Some overlap, obviously. That's just going to be a way that it goes. There's only so many hours in the day when we're trying to get these, trying to do our channels and all that stuff. But, I thought that was really awesome. And I really want to say that, Rick, that means a lot to me as a person that tries to do this and tries to have a platform that's open to everybody, and that you went above and beyond, I think, and promoted all these channels. I thought that was amazing. And I really want to say that I appreciate you, Rick. And, but let me go ahead here and let me just kind of talk a little bit about, just because, again, being plugged in and working on stuff. And then I took a little nap because I was a little tired. But, you know, it was the thing is like I didn't think about food until it was time for me to go downstairs when, when Shanda was coming home. Because and then I had like a PhD Q&A thing with Dr. Barry last night. Part of we do these monthly meetups and check-ins and stuff with Dr. Barry and Nisha and Kim and Alyssa. They're so great and engaging, and that's one of the benefits of taking that coaching course is there is this monthly kind of get-together. And I don't know if the other ones are like this or not, as I haven't taken any other courses, but I really like that. But anyway, yeah, let's go ahead and we'll jump over and we'll talk a little bit to you guys because you guys are my favorites. A Mason says, OMG, 7:30 a.m., like that's new. Says this is like 3 or 3.5 hours before I go to bed. Y'all, though, watch. You are on afternoon or evening replay. Okay, do it. Brian Dish is in the house. Hello, good morning, my friend. How are you doing, Brian? And Evelyn is here. Hello, Evelyn. I'm so very glad to see you, my dear. How are you? There's Rick. There's our good friend, Rick.
Rick. Let's get dangerous.
There we go. Sharon is here. Says, good morning, Rick and everyone. That's me. I'm everyone. All right. I don't know why this is so bright today. I got to figure that out. That's going to drive me bananas in pajamas. Josephine, how are you doing, my dear? Welcome. So very glad to see you all the way from Australia. And Sean Bradley, good morning, my friend. I was just curious, and we were talking about you. My wife and I were talking about you, and I was like, you have a CPAP, and, the things that you're kind of dealing with, and I was like, maybe he could probably use a BiPAP. Probably use a stronger CPAP, like one of those, but they do they're pretty strong. My brother uses a BiPAP. I don't know if we talked about that last week or not, but that might be something you want to look into because, you're having the issues being awake and all that stuff. And, I feel you. I don't know if it's the same, but I feel you. And Mr. Biscuit's in the house. Good morning, Mr. Biscuit. How are you? Good to see you. Jeff Fafa is in the house. Hello, Mr. Jeff Fafa. Good to see you. Mr. Gugahan is here. Good morning, Sunday coffee, folks. That's a good time. It's a good time as any to sit here and enjoy a nice, warm beverage with our Buc-ee's Beaver coffee cup. Oh, yeah. I've had my electrolytes today. Always start the day with electrolytes, okay? All right. And I see that Amy's got some issues. I want to go ahead and I want to make sure we address that when we get there in a few minutes. So don't go anywhere, Amy, unless you got to go before I get there. But I'm not that far behind in the chat. But Sandy Blythe is here. Good morning, dear. How are you? So very glad to see you. Smoothie is here. Good morning, Dustin and everybody. Good morning. Good. So glad to see you. Cindy is here. Good morning, Cindy. How are you? How's my favorite troublemaker? How in the hell are you? Glad to see you. How's our guinea pig? I hope he's doing wonderful. Tell him I said hello. Give him a hug for me. Andy is here. Good morning, everybody. Sun was up at 6:30. Thought of you guys. Ooh, yeah, I was up at 5:45, and I was sitting downstairs for a little while after Shander left for work, and then I was like, I looked outside and like, ooh, the sun is coming up. Brian Doyle is in the house. Good morning, sir. How are you doing, my friend? So very glad to see you. Chris is here. Hello, Chris. How you doing, buddy? Glad to see you. So very glad to see you. I hope you're doing good, my friend. Jennifer Lucas is here. Good morning, beautiful people. Hello. Hello. How are you? Sandy's got it right. Sandy says, hit the thumbs up. I would greatly appreciate that. Greatly appreciate that. Oh, my goodness. Andy says, great job, Dustin. We're celebrating our daughter's birthday today. She turns 24 on Thursday. Time does fly. Our youngest is 22 years old. Woo, that's crazy. Oh, my goodness. Happy birthday to your daughter. Tell her I said hello and happy birthday. I'm sure she knows all about me if you've told her anything about me, but I don't know. I don't know. You might have. Mr. Biscuit says, I was like that forever, Dustin, letting food go to waste. It still triggers me because we are food insecure. I've learned to toss it. My health is more important than just accept it. I did, and then I was like, but it's kind of one of those things. I don't know. I have to, I mean, we're multifaceted as humans, right? We've got a lot of things that we do that are counterproductive to ourselves. It's just the way that it is. There's a lot of things about us that we are counterproductive to our own self. I mean, I understand, like, we don't waste food. I mean, you know, I do my best to not waste food. Oh, my goodness. And sometimes it just kind of, those things just kind of slip in sometimes. You don't even really, truly realize it until you're like, oh, that was yummy. And I mean, it's Culver's. Culver's isn't all that great. I mean, but again, I live in a house where our kids will make all of this gigantic meals, throw the leftovers in the fridge, and then at the end, like, as the time goes on, I'm like throwing out leftovers. So at least I'm not in there being like, well, they made a huge thing of chili mac last night. So they made macaroni and cheese, and then they put like taco seasoned beef in it. And then they made a big, huge thing. Like, I would have probably eaten 6 bowls of that had I not had some kind of self-control. I had some hot dogs instead because I was like, I'm tired and I don't really feel like cooking myself anything. And I didn't have a lot of options because they were taking up the stove. So air fryer it was. Sean says, there are starving people in whatever country that would love to eat those nuggets. I used to feel that way, but now I feel that it's better to throw it out than to suffer with whatever inflammation. Yeah. Luckily, I don't feel anything. I mean, I didn't really have a lot of food yesterday anyway. I only had whatever. Well, that wasn't yesterday. That was Friday night. But yesterday, all I had was my coffee. I did go to the game. They have a big concession stand. I don't even know what they have. I didn't look. I'm sure I could smell the popcorn. I knew they had popcorn because we were sitting on the sidelines of the soccer pitch. And I could smell the popcorn. I was like, nothing like freezing cold temperatures outside watching these little kids shiver as they run up and down the field. That was so cute. Oh, my goodness. Our girl. I love her so much. Jen Lucas says, I've come to terms with recognizing that the food potentially wasted, if eaten, costs so much more than with my physical well-being, cost of time, meds, docs, hospital fees. Yeah, I understand it. And yeah. It is, but it's always in the moment. It's never a huge, like, it's always in the moment. They were not always really, like, it's not a thought that goes through your head. Like, it's like, we're done. We're getting ready to go. Well, I mean, I don't know. I'm not trying to justify it, but also it's usually not that much thought that goes into it. It just kind of happens. And then I'm thinking about it after the fact. I'm like, what could I have done differently? Andy is asking Evil, Lynn, and Carl how the girls are doing. I want to know, too. How are the girls? How are they? They're sweet girls. I like them very much. They are sweet girls. And let's see what else is going on. Evelyn says, yes, my kids at school are always offering candy and birthday treats. I've seen people accept them as soon as the kids are gone for the day. The treats go in the trash. I can see that. I can see that. At least, like, that's the hard part, because the granddaughter tries to offer me things, and she's like, but why? Why can't you eat this? Why can't you have this French fry? Why don't you want to bite of my ice cream? And she is kind of blunt, like a 7-year-old. And she goes, is it because you're fat? And I'm like, let's, then we have the talk and all that stuff. But funny thing is, the other day we were in the car on the way back from Culver's, and she was singing a song about, now, out of I mean, I don't know what the context would make it sound better, but she was singing a song about people being fat and dumb. Dumb and fat, fat and dumb. And I'm like, what are you singing? And she goes, everybody's fat and dumb. And I was like, okay, does that mean you too? If everybody's fat and dumb, does that mean you are too? And she goes, Paul, I'm the one writing the song. And that means no, or obviously not. I'm the one writing the song. And I'm like, this kid, she's going to be the death of me. I'm telling you what. I thought it was going to be Chandra, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be this grandkid. Christian Delorme, how are you? How are you and the wife? I hope you guys are doing wonderful. Glad to see you here, my friend. Bonjour, everybody. And Mr. Biscuits, it's Mr. Business. Mr. Biscuit says, I try to teach my kids about waste as much as I can, the same way I try to teach them about everything else I feel is important. At the end of the day, I let it go. They have to learn these things. That's true. We do the best we can, right? We do the best we can. Still need to learn to say no to food, says Mr. Biscuit. Sometimes at every meal, it's only recently been possible, but it's slowly getting easier. Okay. All right. It does get easier. It does get easier. Like, I still remember the early days of us going keto and low carb and walking through the grocery store and having that almost physical pain of the longing, walking by the Oreos, like walking down the aisle, and like, you know, you're walking down the main aisle and all the other aisles are going this way as you walk by, and they've got the Oreos right on the edge, and you're like, I remember, and we even stopped. We're like, well, they got the thin ones. Let's look at the thin ones. We look at the thin ones, and it's still just 2 cookies for a serving. And I'm like, that's not worth it, because there is nowhere this is going to play out where I only have 2. I've said it. I'll say it again. The only way I'm going to eat a serving size of something that small is that that's the only thing that's left. Because if I open a package of Oreos, which there are some downstairs, I'm eating the whole thing. At least a whole row. If not 2 rows, depending if I know that I have to share them. Or if someone's going to be mad that I ate all their Oreos. It's frustrating. And Evelyn says, I used to be my family's trash can. I ate all the leftovers, so they did not go to waste. I realized I was wasting my health. I no longer eat the sad leftovers. I'd rather be healthy. Yeah. Now, Chandra and I, we will swap leftovers. Like the other night, I made smash burgers, and I made her more than she could eat, so she just dropped the bowl off to me. I'm like, okay, I'll eat your little burger left or whatever with some cheese on it. I can do that. That's different. It's different. Cindy says, yeah, exactly, that health is more important than thinking about tossing things out. Yeah, I know. I mean, it's a hindsight thing, though. Unfortunately, at the time, I was like, nom, 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 and then I'm driving home. I'm like, why did I do that? Why did I do it? It was delicious. That's why. It's going to be one of those things. I'm always going to be a food addict. I'm always going to have that struggle that not even always an inner dialogue. Sometimes my body's just going to be like reactionary. I think that's just going to be the way it is. That's just the way it is. I don't know. We'll have to see. Amy says, hi, y'all. Climbing back to bed. This stress on the weekend has gotten to me. You did so much this weekend. Very proud of you. And Jennifer says, today's church service will involve an unbroken horse on stage, somehow related to the message of the Bible that it's calmed on stage. I'm intrigued. Okay, I don't know that. I don't understand anything about that. But yeah. Amy says, Kilts meets 4 times every week in private Zooms. Wednesday is for current and past students. I love that. That's pretty cool. And I imagine there's some attrition that you're going to get. Some weeks it's really, really busy, and some weeks there's not as much going on, right? Yeah, Sean is right. Amy, take some time to relax. Amy is one of the most hardworking people that I've met in a long time. She's always on the go, full-time job, coaching, choir, all these things, taking care of her parents, doing all these things. And still has time to chat with me. And she says, I'm under attack by my family for trying to help my dad with his food. They said keto isn't heart healthy. Well, they just don't know any better. They just don't. She says, my niece is a doctor and said I shouldn't be eating eggs, cottage cheese, and sardines. But why not? And Sean says, I'm going for another sleep study where I bring my CPAP with me. They are going to evaluate what's going on while I'm sleeping with my CPAP. I've had times in my sleep where I'm like in the middle of the night, like it comes undone, or I'll go to sleep with it on and wake up and it's somewhere else. I've taken it off in my sleep, or like it's probably annoyed me or something, and I've smacked it off or something. Or it's like my face was itchy and I don't know how to get to it. Booby Goats is in the house. There we go. Aaron is here. The stream can start. Welcome. Welcome, Aaron. Glad to see you, dear. Glad to see you. Amy says, I just crawled back into bed. Not going to go anywhere. Even church, I just can't move. You need to rest. You need it. You need to rest. Need to rest. Church will be okay if you don't show up, I promise. That'll still be there next week. I'm 99.99999% sure of that. Okay. Okay. There we go. Jen Lucas says, my sleep is gradually improving with a CPAP. By the way, my youngest will be 49 in May. It's because you're old. No, but we love you, Jen. Yeah, I mean, so the thing about a CPAP is you have to get used to it. One of the things that I struggle with is I had to go into the settings and change the settings for myself, because they'll usually do a ramp up. There's like a way to do it where it'll be like a 10-minute ramp. But if we do that, when I first put it on, I feel like I can't breathe. Like I'm not breathing. So I need it to pop on right away. So I got to take the ramp off and just have it blowing at right away. I don't need any of that CPAP foreplay stuff. Okay. I need it to just be doing its thing right off the bat. I just need it right then and there. I don't want to wait. But anyway, yeah, I mean, because I would lay there and I would just breathe, and I'm trying to just breathe through it, and I feel like I'm suffocating in a weird way. So it's just got to be pressure right then and there. And Amy, we know, especially when we're dealing with especially when you're dealing with boomer parents, you know what I mean? I don't mean boomer in a bad way. But not like the kids call me a boomer. And I'm like, I'm barely Gen X, okay? I barely squeaked into Gen X, okay? But I legitimately live the Gen X kid lifestyle. So I earned my Gen X badge more than just the date I was born. But my parents will not throw food out. My dad has a ton of American cheese he wants to use up. I'm guilty of using American cheese every once in a while. Sometimes I just want some, and I'll buy a little pack. There's little things like that to me, at least because it doesn't impact me the same way. It's just one of those things that's like, it's not the end of the world. So, like, if to keep him on track and keep him moving forward better and better, don't fight him on the American cheese. You know, like if he's eating healthier in the broad spectrum, like the American cheese isn't gonna, I don't think is not gonna be what tips him over the edge. Yeah. And Sean says, he's sorry to hear this, Amy. Really hard fighting with family over this, especially when they are healthcare professionals. It's a shame that they can't see everything that you've done and accept your result. And it's so entrenched. One of the things that I did want to kind of talk about that I hadn't gotten to yet, I still need to make a video on this. There was let me see. I got to pull this article up real quick because I want to kind of get into this. Let's see here. All right, so this is I want to let me look at this here. Let me read a little bit of things here. So allegedly, this is an article that I saw, okay? So the American Heart Association has directly opposed the 2026 dietary guidelines promoted by Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr., rejecting his push to end the war on saturated fats. Even still, he didn't. He said 10% of your calories should be saturated fat. Doesn't make any sense. Anyway, moving on, the AHA continues to recommend limiting saturated fats and red meat, citing them as primary drivers of cardiovascular disease. In contrast, to Kennedy's promotion of full-fat dairy and increased animal proteins. Key conflicts between the AHA and RFK, too many letters in a row. Saturated fat. The AHA advises capping saturated fat at 10% total calories. RFK Jr. argues there's no strong evidence, but RFK caps them at 10% too. So what are they flipping arguing about? The new recommendations cap them at 10%. So I don't understand. What is the argument here? RFK argues that there is no strong evidence linking saturated fats to heart disease, aiming to remove the limit and stating American Heart Association does not want you to follow my diet, in part due to funding sources. Well, I mean, follow the money, folks. If we follow the money, we're going to see who's paying for these, like Procter & Gamble and all these companies, all the food companies who make a killing on selling this highly palatable, highly processed foods, right? And there's a Wall Street Journal article and a Political Pro report, and I'm probably going to pull those two in, and I'll probably make a full video of my kind of like recommendations, or not my recommendations, but my like breakdown of this whole thing. But protein sources, the AHA recommends increasing consumption of plant-based proteins, nuts, and legumes. The new MAHA aligned guidance emphasizes increased protein, including meat and dairy, according to CBS News. Why would that be according to CBS News? Why can't they look at the damn guidelines instead of citing some other news source? I don't know. Anyway, dairy, the AHA, we're going to call it AHA and MAHA, okay? That's not confusing. That's like when our girl calls for Ma and Pa. We can't tell the difference sometimes. But anyway, AHA advocates for low to fat-free dairy products, where RFK's guidelines have supported full-fat dairy. Like, do you know how hard it is? I go to our local Walmart, and Chandra loves 4 to 5, like she likes 5% yogurt. There's a Faye 5%, plain Greek yogurt or whatever it is. She likes it. Yogurt's disgusting. I don't. But I get it, and typically I can't find 4%, 5%. They have 0 and 2%. It's so irritating. I go to a different grocery store sometimes just to get her the 5% milk fat. Drives me crazy. Guidance basis, AHA, representing 30,000 professionals, maintains its recommendations are based on established heart health research. Conversely, RFK Jr. has characterized the traditional focus on saturated fats as debunked dogma from the 1960s, according to CBS News. So, recent develops in March 2026, the AHA reaffirmed its urging Americans to stick to the traditional heart-healthy advice, directly countering the new food pyramid. So, there's turmoil in the honeymoon bed there we got. And AHA also advises reducing alcohol consumption, which I'm fully on board with reducing alcohol consumption. While some of the new guidance focuses on removing limits on fat and protein, yeah, I think limiting alcohol I'm totally on board with. That's like one thing that we see eye to eye on. You know, alcohol should be few and far between. If you are somebody who can get away with it totally, awesome. But even for me, like, I'm okay. Like, if I'm having a drink, it's a wedding or a funeral, or I'm sitting on the beach somewhere and I'm just chilling, having a nice ice cold something. Big deal. But even then, it's not as much as you would think. But I just kind of wanted to talk about that a little bit just because I was like, that's something that I've seen this week. Mr. Biscuit says, I'm going for my second sleep study May 6th. I had 30 plus events in an hour a decade back. Wish me luck. When I got my CPAP, I had like 70 plus events per hour. And they were like, hey, excuse me, we need to talk. Brian's getting sized for a CPAP. I almost think, I don't know, downside is I think there's, CPAPs are great, okay? You know, and I look at the things like, people do the mouth taping. That terrifies me. Okay. Like, how am I going to tape over this? Like, am I going to like, meh, am I going to do that? Like, no, I don't have a way to do the mouth taping, but a CPAP, even still, like I can, like, it's not like tight anywhere around here. Like you can still like, it's enough to keep, but it's, I don't know, like like having a beard is a problem with my CPAP, but I make do. I make do. Andy says the daughters know all about our keto buddies. Still building my relationship with my prodigal son. He and his wife are taking it slow, but it's been an awesome process to have him back in my life. And I'm so happy for you, Andy. Congratulations. And make sure that Susan knows that I say hello. She's probably still snoozing. I need to get like one of those little like Garbage Pail Kid cards. That's her. It just says snoozing Susan. Amy says my AHI is 70 an hour when I was diagnosed, and I still have a few events wearing the CPAP. Well, everybody has events, no matter what. There's nobody who has 0 events sleeping. So I mean that's when you start getting into those numbers. It's really time to really consider a CPAP, and a lot of people really probably should be on CPAPs who are not. Brian says, unfortunately, I have a trip to urgent care about 9 a.m. My wife finally relented. She has been ill for 4 days now. Well, please keep us posted, Brian. I hope she's feeling okay. I hope everything is going okay. Don't hesitate to go to the hospital if necessary. If she's really, really ill, maybe the urgent care may not be the place. But like I say, just please keep us posted. Let us know that everything's okay, okay? Please, please, please. And Sean says, mine was around 70 as well. Most I get with my CPAP is around 5, and that's if the mask is leaking. My mask leaks. It's just going to be the way that it is. Mr. Biscuit says, wow, Amy, that's severe. Mine got worse after the first diagnosis, but I know it has improved since then. I have Severe tinnitus, PTSD, and other factors that contribute, the weight improved greatly. Yeah. And I know, like, because I got to a point where I felt I didn't need it anymore, because there would be times where I'd fall asleep without putting it on, and I'd wake up and feel okay, so I would, like, slowly stop using it. And then I think that's kind of like that, along with, like, poor diet choices, has helped me regain weight. And Lucas says, Jen Lucas says, your little is old enough to help you. Time to teach her it's not healthy to eat your food and hers. She's like, she didn't tell me to eat it necessarily. I was like, are you done? Are you ready to go? And she's like, yeah. I mean, she doesn't eat her whole ice cream. She doesn't eat. It's just difficult to get her to eat. But it was me. It was on me for not just throwing it away. And Aaron says, if you're worried about food waste, get chickens. About that, I don't want to. Anyway, turn that waste into eggs. That's one thing that I would love. I would love to have fresh eggs. I just don't want to take care of chickens. And Aaron says, fun fact, you don't need a rooster for chickens to lay an egg. Isn't the rooster there just to kind of like protect the chickens a little bit? Isn't that a thing? I don't know. I don't know enough about that kind of thing. And Mr. Biscuit says, my sister tried to keep chickens, but noise restrictions in New York City. That's a funny thing. Noise restrictions in New York City, isn't it one of the loudest cities on the planet? Andy says, Amy, buy some real cheese, cheddar, and Colby Jack mozzarella. Swap out the crap for the real stuff. And Aaron says, of course, because the government that controls the food supply controls the people. Yeah, 100%. And Amy says that she's trying, but she's fighting her mom too. That's like the weirdest thing. Like, I remember we were watching Scrubs the other day. They brought Scrubs back, and this guy had some kind of like health issue or whatever, and they were giving him the hospital food. He wanted to dip everything in ranch, and I'm like, I don't think ranch is the problem here. They're like, I just can't give up my ranch. I don't think it's ranch that's the problem. There's so many weird things that I see in TV and pop culture these days that points to the wrong things. But again, like a show like Scrubs, it's the doctors doing everything. The doctors are checking vitals and all these things, and we know that that's what nurses do, right? That's not what doctors do necessarily. Doctors are not there with the patient as long as they show in these shows. But anyway, Aaron said, I had secret chickens until my hobby became a little too much and I had to move to the farm. I love that. And Mr. Biscuit says, I'm a single dad these days, but I get feedback from my kids. Yeah. And Andy says, the processed crap is worse than cheese. Yeah, I understand. I just kind of feel like if you are trying to get somebody to transition and they're making progress with their transition, like fighting them on the smallest detail along the line is going to cause them to kind of give up. They're going to be like, okay, you're fighting me on everything I want. I figure like maybe let them keep it till it's gone and slowly replace it with real cheese. I mean, I don't know. Like for me, every once in a while, like that Kraft singles or whatever is okay, but it's still not. I mean, it's great, like because it melts real nice and it makes a good burger. It makes it taste kind of like a fast food burger. But you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I just feel like, especially if somebody is struggling to make the transition and they're not necessarily doing it of their own volition. Like a lot of us are here because we wanted to make a change and we have slowly made these changes over time. So obviously these changes that we make are very intuitive to us. Swapping out Kraft singles and getting rid of those and getting cheddar and cheddar jack and all these things, Colby Jack and all these, sharp cheddar, extra sharp cheddar, all these options that we have. But a lot of people who need to come here and need to see us and need to do better, there's going to be concessions they're going to make because they don't want to do this. Most people are going to do it because they have to, not because they want to. And I think a lot of these people, It's kind of like when you start getting into, what is it? It was Christy was talking with Amy Berger yesterday, and was it she was saying, like, you start getting like, start majoring in the minors. We got to get people in the door, and we've got to get people to start to understand how important this way of life is. And I think if we start fighting them on every single little thing, it makes their transition that much more difficult. And I understand that a lot of the folks that are here have gone through and have made these transitions, and so they're like, I don't see a problem with getting rid of Kraft singles. I like real cheese better anyway. Of course you do. But we're dealing with people who don't want to change necessarily, and they're kind of coming along kicking and screaming. And how do we get them to do better, right? And how do we get them to come along? We got to make some concessions. We can't be fighting them on every tiny little thing. That's like if it comes in and you start fighting them with about, the spice they like because it's got a little maltodextrin in it, or those kinds of things. Like they have a favorite spice. They like to put, I don't even know what, just for an example, they like Montreal steak seasoning. And there's something in Montreal steak seasoning that's not the best. But at least they're eating the steak or their chicken they just want their Montreal steak on it. They're doing the best they can, and we got to meet them where they are. And I think that's very important for us to consider because, again, we're on the opposite side of where they are. We're on the, we always got to say you got to see the forest for the trees, right? And sometimes our trees that we can't see that forest for is fighting the small things. So, you can't have pepper and you can't have this and you've got to do this. And we fight over the different kinds of salt we use. In this community, we get into discussions and debates about the type of salt that we should use. Don't use table salt. I mean, is table salt the worst thing in the world? If they're doing everything else, it's not. It shouldn't be the fight. That shouldn't be the straw that breaks the camel's back. We've got to meet people where they are. And yeah, like Amy's right. I mean, Andy's right that processed cheese is awful for us. Yes, but it shouldn't be what demotivates somebody from doing everything else. Like if they're going to have some Kraft singles with their burger patties without the bun, that's not the end of the world. Meeting Wellness is here. Hello, Christy. Good to see you. I was talking about you a little bit ago. Let's see. Evelyn says, I said to someone at work, it's easier to eat this way than live with the inflammation. And she argued with me. She told me it's too difficult to eat this way. So I shared where I come from. You've got a hell of a story. I still need to get you on here and talk with me about that one of these days, young lady. You understand me? And Amy says, I spent 13 hours in the hospital with my mom and dad Friday, and I didn't bring any food with me because I didn't realize it was going to be that long. As no one does, right? I mean, unless you're going to start carrying like meat patties in a fanny pack. Next procedure, I'm bringing a lunch bag. Purse, bacon. Mr. Biscuit says, married 28 years, but home is brideless currently. Well, we love you, Mr. Biscuit. And Mr. Mopar, Mr. Rick says, yes, I was competing with that live. You were winning. You had a great live, my friend. You had a lot of people in there. And Jennifer says, hopefully the hospital will be offering healthier choices very soon. We know my opinion on that. I don't think we're going to be seeing healthier options anytime soon. That'll actually, anything that makes a major difference or moves the needle at all anyway. And I know that I'm a minority in that way of thinking, but that's my job here, to share my opinions. I may not always be right. Hopefully I'm not right here. Hopefully I'm the one that's wrong. And Rick says, I always shout you out. You're the best, Rick. I appreciate you so very much. And Amy says, my sister got all upset I didn't eat for 24 hours and was driving mom and dad, I laughed and said, I feel great. I fasted 48 hours. They're like, I know people who've not eaten for 21, 40 days. There's been like the world record's like 384 days. Jennifer says, I agree about the ramp. The ramp, I don't like it. I don't like it because it's like I feel like I want to be able to breathe right now. Mr. Biscuit says, I got a sinus infection the first month on a CPAP, needed antibiotics for a month. Not good. Mr. Chris Cook in Nashville is here. Good morning, folks. Up early to check on pork butt, but been smoking all night. How's everyone doing? I need to take a minute here because our good friend Chris has done something so dang cool, so awesome, that I just have to share it with you guys. And I don't know if I'm overstepping my boundaries here, but it's nothing that you can't go on to Amazon and see, right? Of course, I'm going to bring it up now. Let's see if it still shows me this. It doesn't show it now. No, but no. Hold on a second. Okay, let me see if I can bring this in real quick. I don't remember if I did it here. Let me see this. Hold on a second. I found this the other day and it was awesome. Let me see if I can find it. Hold on a second. There we go. There we go. All right, check this out, everybody. So I don't know, maybe I'm out of pocket here, maybe, but take a look at this. What does this say? What is this right here? What does that say? That's Chris's cookbook that's on pre-order right now, pre-sale. You can order it right now from Amazon. It'll deliver on October the 6th, I do believe. But what does that say right there on the top left corner? #1 bestseller. Can you believe that? Can you believe that? That's amazing. #1 bestseller. I can't believe it. We got to get some fireworks. Got to get fireworks going here. #1 bestseller. Look at Chris. Chris is out there changing the world. I love you, buddy. You're doing amazing things. I really do. Really mean that from the bottom, the top, and the middle of my heart and all that stuff. It's amazing. So if you haven't pre-ordered yours, KetoSimple.shop, you can find a link to his pre-order on my page, his page, anywhere. Just go to Amazon and type in Chris Cook in Nashville, and you will find it. There we go. I had to shout out my good friend there because that's amazing. Biscuit says the machine was calibrated from home. I understand the oxygen flow isn't customized as much as the hospital study did. Yeah, pretty crazy. Yeah, this is like when I hear people have like hypoinsulinemia and all that stuff, like, and you know, like the people like, I have to eat or I'll pass out. My blood sugar goes too low. Well, what about maybe getting to a point where you have some ketones in your body? So, you know, your body isn't solely relying on glucose. The arguments that what I feel drives me the most crazy, right? There we go. There's Mr. Kevin from Tuber Chat. There's our good friend Kevin. How you doing, my friend? Glad to see you. And Chris is talking about the smell. Oh, that smell. It's like when the butt comes inside. I'm sorry. I'm really 11 I can't help it. Probably around 30 to 90 minutes to go before it's finished. Got to start checking shortly. Oh, I'm the one who cooks for Chandra and me, and sometimes I just want someone to cook for me. And what the downside is typically if someone's cooking for me, like the kids will be like, we're making dinner. While I'm thankful, it's like, well, what are we having? Macaroni and cheese. 'Cause, 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 And Bride's Biscuit says, new recommendations would facilitate rabbit starvation. They are sending a mixed message to placate. Yeah, we know better. We know. There we go. Shared on Reddit. Thank you, sir. Thank you, my friend. And Carl says, wow, on how bold of your niece. She's a doctor, but not a nutritionist, and yet you have the nutritional certification. She should be able to have the respectful conversation. Yeah, I agree. Jen Lucas can smell your butt, Chris. I love it. Tuber Chat's name is Kevin. Kevin, like the weird bird in Up. And he says, your niece, Doc, has a paycheck that's being paid for by insurance and pharma. Healthy patient is a lost customer. I don't think, but I honestly don't think that most of them think that way. I think that, like, I don't think most doctors think that way. I think most doctors have this illusion that they are doing what is best for the patient. I don't think most doctors have this idea that their paychecks come from big pharma and that all these things, that they think they're doing what's right because that's what they went to medical school for. They went to medical school and they had to pass all their boards and they had to do everything. So that's what is it indoctrination as much as any other college program? Sure. But I don't think it's hard for me to truly think that most doctors and physicians are coming from a place of malice, maybe incompetence to a slight degree, but most people are just doing what they think they should do with the information that they have. And I might be cynical about certain things. Like if we're talking about like the RFK stuff and we're talking about big pharma and we're talking about big food and the scale that we're working with the government, sure, I'm cynical about that all day, every day. But when we're talking about the nurses and the doctors on the ground, the ones in the hospital day after day, I don't think they have malice in their hearts. I think they think they're doing the right thing. Now, what does happen, though, I believe, is ego comes into play. We have all these doctors and researchers and scientists. They have this idea that they are right, and they've written papers and they've done lectures. So if new information comes to light that shows them that their entire framework of what they've done with their career is a false or a fallacy, of course they're not going to like it. We see this with archaeology. We see this with any field of science and study. So why would nutrition and medicine be any different? But I don't think that there's any malice behind it. I don't think anybody's doing anything to be hurtful on purpose. I think they're doing what they need to do with the information that they have. Kevin says he has a sleep clinic in June. Can't sleep, can't wait. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people need to be on CPAP. And being skinny doesn't matter. You can be skinny, you can be underweight, you can still have sleep apnea and trouble sleeping. And bad sleep is probably, poor sleep is up there, might be even more important than what food we put into our body. Poor sleep might be more impactful than the proper human diet, because it doesn't matter if you eat a proper human diet. If you're not sleeping, you're still not going to be healthy. Chris says, yeah, mouth tape with a bear or with a mustache is not fun in the morning. 100%. Yeah. Mr. Biscuit says that alcohol is a neurotoxin. What else do you need to know? I mean, if it wasn't for alcohol, beer, and all these things, beer and sewage systems is how we have society. So, like, without beer and alcohol, beer, wine, and all these things, we wouldn't have societies. And without sewage systems, we wouldn't have the big cities that we have. So all these things have played an important role in the evolution of man and our ability to survive. Agriculture, our ability to survive. So we have been in a process as humans for millennia trying to just survive. We couldn't always drink the water without getting sick. We started learning how to boil it to make beer. We didn't realize that boiling the water killed the stuff inside, making it safe to drink until way, way later. So the idea of making beer and fermenting wine and all these things was what helped us get fluids into our body so we didn't die of dehydration. So there's a lot of things about how we've evolved as humans that keeps these things going, because without them, we wouldn't be where we are today, which is so hard to imagine. We talk about plants and all these things and how negatively they can impact us, but without them, we would not have survived. And Carl says, it was very frustrating when my sister yelled at me for taking my dad off his meds. His diet change made his blood work improve, so he took himself off his meds. Yeah. And I'm so glad you did that, Carl. And Andy says, Susan and I are taking back our health starting today. We got a DEXA scan type scale yesterday. Looking forward to seeing in results. Yeah, I mean, every single day we should be trying to do something, right? And I mean, and here's the thing, and I feel bad because I people say, well, RFK is having the conversation and raising awareness. Yes, but on a surface level, instead of trying to go in the back and try to change legislation, trying to do all the things in the back end, changing the infrastructure that would actually make impactful, meaningful change. I think what he's doing for the most part is surface level Band-Aid stuff that's not going to stick. Again, if he's made these requirements or whatever, he's recommendations, and the American Heart Association can go, we don't care, and we'll put out our own recommendations, then what does it actually matter? Because, yeah, he might be preaching to us, but we're already doing that. But if the people on the other side of the fence aren't listening to him, what does it actually matter? It's still up to us to make a difference. But if he really wanted to make, headway, it would have to be on the back end and the infrastructure side of things. I mean, yes, the conversation is open, but I still think it's one-sided. I still don't think the majority of people out there actually give a shit what he has to say. Because we've got the American Heart Association, the American Diabetes Association, and they're all sticking to their original plans, and they don't seem to care what his guidance is. So, and if they don't seem to care what his guidance is, that plays deeper into the fact that the average person doesn't care what he has to say, because why should they care if the AHA and the American Diabetes Association and all these people are going against his recommendations? They don't see him as credible. Jennifer says, how is a body to get past insomnia? Wearing a CPAP and a night compression on legs and arms, basically a spacesuit. But are you starting to get restful, impactful sleep? That's the question. Yeah, and I mean, and Biscuit's parroting this as like RFK is a step in the right direction, time to tell, impact. I don't think there's going to be much of an impact, because if he's coming out with guidance and people aren't listening, and if it's not making an impact with the ADA or the American Diabetes Association or whatever, or the American Heart Association, what impact is he having? Because the only people who seem to care are us, who are already doing it anyway. It's not changing the minds of people on the other side of the fence, the people we're trying to get to come to our side. And like I said, I am not negative when it comes to most things, but when it comes to the high level governmental machine, I don't see what he's doing as slightly impactful. It opens a conversation, sure. But again, if these other agencies can at will disregard what he has to say and keep going forward with the status quo, what does it really matter? Bacon Runner is here. Good morning, Donna. Donna Ray, I think is your name. Yep, Donna. I always know Donna, but I know that people call you Donna Ray, and I want to make sure I'm not doing the thing, right? And Terry Girl is here. Good morning, Terry. So very glad to see you. I'm a little behind on the chat because I keep going all long-winded and whatever. And Chris Cook in Nashville says, sleep issues are the worst for weight issues. Neurodivergent causes a lot of sleep issues for people, and it's not fun, but working on that has helped me so much. Yeah, I mean, weight is like, like you can do everything right. You can be eating right, exercising, but if you're not sleeping well, you're not recovering, you're not healing, your cortisol's out through the roof, your insulin sensitivity gets worse. So, I mean, there's just, it's a full package, and we all have to be mindful of that. And Carl says, when my sister stayed with my dad, she tried keto, she said. She didn't like it because she missed oatmeal, and keto includes too much cabbage. We said, what cabbage? I mean, there's a lot. I mean, when I first started, there was a lot of recipes. This is 2016. A lot of recipes out there. Cabbage rolls, cabbage soup, cabbage this, cabbage that. Sure, we like cabbage from time to time. It's okay. Well, I haven't had cabbage in a long time. I prefer... And I'm not even a full carnivore by any stretch of the imagination. Maybe with the 70% rule, if we would go by 70% meat, then you're a carnivore. Sure, I'm a carnivore. But a lot of the carnivores out there, like, you drink coffee, you ain't no carnivore near me. You know what I mean? Like, or you have black pepper on your steak, you ain't a carnivore. You one of them damn hippies. You know what I mean? Like, what's going on here? The rooster is there to smack the dog in the butt with a 2x4. Yes, I say, my boy. I know what you're putting down, Mr. Biscuit. Oh, Jeff says, I have a CPAP and use noise pillows. Nose pillows. I was like, noise pillows? What's that? Nose. I just don't even know what a nose pillow is. Oh, yeah. I also use a neck collar to keep my mouth closed, and my only issue is dry mouth. Well, I try to breathe through my nose. Breathing through my nose is so much better than breathing, because if I'm dry mouth when I wake up, it means I haven't been breathing through my nose. I've been breathing through my mouth. And mouth breathing is a problem in of itself. Christy says, I'm sure some of my family thinks that my mom, my son, and I are weird for eating keto carnivore, but at least they don't say it out loud. You know what? I mean, the thing is that can they see anything going wrong with you? Can they see you having issues? Are you gaining a lot of weight? Have you gotten fat eating steaks? No. So none of the things that they were told are happening to you. So what can they say? Carl says store-bought ranch dressing is made from canola oil, so it causes cancer. But again, we're majoring in the minors there. If somebody's in the hospital and like they're trying to eat like the pancakes and the Jell-O and the not diet soda and all the things that they're giving you in the hospital, ranch dressing is the least of your concerns. Coach Angela's in the house. Hello, good to see you. If you have leftovers, head to canal, catch duck. Repeat. Brenda Foley's here. Good morning, Brenda. Glad to see you. And Jennifer Lucas says, however, take ranch, processed cheese, seed oils, keto snacks, etc. Too many exceptions add up to a barrier to success for certain people. It's a tough balance, and I advocate eliminate them. I understand that too. But again, if we're dealing with somebody who is coming at this from a place that they don't want to do it, they're not doing it of their own volition, arguing with them every step of the way doesn't help. Again, we are people who have been living this lifestyle, some of us 10, 20 years, some of us 5 years, 7 years, whatever. We are in it to win it. So any of these things makes total sense to us. We're trying to eliminate as much as we can from our diet. But at the same time, we have to understand people who are just coming into this, and they don't care like we do. They're not there yet. So anytime like we come at them and we're like, you can't have this, it seems so very adversarial, especially at the beginning, because I remember being at the grocery store and finding like these popcorn shaker things, and they were like cheese and sour cream and onion. There was like a nacho cheddar one, and I was like, sweet, I can get unflavored pork rinds and sprinkle this on my pork rinds and eat them, and they're going to be flavored. And I was like, that's a win for me. And I remember sharing this in a group, and people attacked me because it had maltodextrin in it. I didn't even know what maltodextrin was. So I got angry. I was like, why are they yelling at me? I just found something that might make me do and stick to this. That's my thing, is if you've got to work with people so they stick with it long term, I understand that we want to eliminate as much of the processed stuff as we can. But again, we're working with lots of people. Most people are never going to care about their food the way that we do. Most of the people aren't going to be looking at the ingredients with a fine-tooth comb like we are. They don't care that there's a little bit of seed oil in their cheese or maltodextrin in the shaker seasoning. They don't care, and they're probably never going to. And the average person's probably going to find success even with those products. It's better than the alternative. It's better than them giving up and not listening to you at all and going back and eating whatever the hell they want. Yeah, I think progress over perfection, especially, you've got somebody who's doing the best they can, and you're like, well, you can have this, you're taking, then they're like, well, what's the point? Especially for somebody like an Amy's situation where her father's in their 80s. They've lived this entire time eating the way they eat. And I think that we have to, as the prominent people in this community, we have to take a step back and understand we're talking about somebody else. We have full control over ourselves. We have to look at the products that we put in our body for ourselves. When we're helping somebody else get started and we're helping them move forward and we want them to be healthier, we have to hold their hand and walk them through, but we can't be the sticklers to them like we are with ourselves. We can give them the information, like, okay, like you'd be like, Dad, okay, here's the deal. You like these Kraft singles, but they've got all this stuff in it that's not great. Real cheese is just milk and cultures and a little salt or whatever, right? Are you sure you want these Kraft singles over this? And if they say, yeah, I like those better, you have to give them the information. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. Now, are they eating more meat? Are they eating less processed crap? They're not eating the rice and the macaroni and cheese and the mashed potatoes and doing all these things that they did 2 weeks ago. True progress takes time. And I think we in this community, especially those of us who are here week in and week out, we have ourselves, at least for the most part, dialed in. We understand the assignment for ourselves. But I think where we all have a place to learn, I think, myself included, is how we interact with other people. Because I remember when I was just starting out, might sneeze, hold on a second. Okay, maybe not. It'll hit me in a second when I least expect it. But when I was first starting out, I was starting to lose weight. And, people start to notice when you're like 400 pounds and you lose 30, 40 pounds, they're like, what are you doing? You're looking great. What's happening? And they would do this via text, right? Because they would be friends. They would send me a text. Can you tell me what you're doing? I want to do it too. And I would go through this ridiculous, like 4 or 5 page text message diatribe of all the things that they need to do. And you know what I got in response more often than not? Never mind. I'm not doing that. Why? Why did they do that? Because I gave them everything all at one time, and it was a lot to change all at one time. And people don't have the bandwidth to just change on a dime and go, okay, most people can't even go in and empty out their pantry of everything that they just purchased, especially in this economy. Like, what do you mean I got to get rid of my ramen, my rice, my mac and cheese? I just bought this. I can't afford to go and buy all new stuff. What do we do? And Evelyn says that Carl's sister has been nasty about how they changed their dad diet, how they changed their father's diet. He has thanked them and saying he wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the change. Your dad feels better, right? Yeah, I mean, but it's so hard for people to decades and decades and decades of pop culture and doctors and commercials and just everything involved with like everything you think you know is wrong. That's hard for anybody to swallow. Again, we've taken the red pill, the blue pill, whichever color pill it is that to hit enlightenment, right? We understand. But it took all of us a little while to get there, didn't it? So why wouldn't we be able to accept that for everybody else? It's going to take a while. And Coach Angel says, I've wanted real cheese since my kids were little. My son is 41. Yeah. I mean, like, I live in a household where, like, they didn't grow up on fake cheese. I grew up on Kraft Singles or, like, the store brand equivalent. That's what's cheese to me. I didn't know any better. That was what cheese was. My mom, when I was a kid, my mom was on a lot of government assistance, and we would get what they call government cheese. Now, that was real cheese, and I remember it didn't taste as good as the Kraft Singles to me, because it was a more palatable cheese. Kraft Singles was char, or like the government cheese was real, like cheddar cheese, and it was sharper, and the texture was more firm. And I'm like, I would rather have the Singles over here. You know what I mean? Yeah. And Sean says that my family sees everything that I've and Shell have done on keto. They've all said that they aren't strong enough to eat the way I eat. I remind them that I was the French fry potato junkie. The thing is people don't really think about all that stuff all the time. They think that they don't have the willpower. But when I had the willpower to do this. Not everybody's me. Chris says, you don't have to yell at people. You don't have to tell them things are good for them that aren't. You can encourage them while kindly guiding them on how to improve little by little. Yeah. And I mean, and I understand that, that's what I'm trying to say. Like I would say, talk to your dad about the Kraft Singles or whatever, and be like, let's get through these. And then how about we try real cheddar or cheddar jack or, something to that, like American equivalent or whatever. Right. But I mean, just fighting them on everything isn't going to work. And Aaron says, my mom would buy the off-brand Kraft cheese, and that's how we were taught the dogs to sit. My mom bought the off-brand stuff too, the Aldi version, all the time. And Chris telling Christy that he got her email, going to get back to her ASAP. Jen Lucas says, an add back strict for a short period is easier for many since they've experienced relief of pain. Yeah. But getting people to that point for they're able to do it long enough to experience that's a struggle in of itself. And Stacy says, good morning. I started with small steps in the right direction, just like RFK is doing for our nation. I'm a supporter of him. I want him to succeed. I'm not anti-RFK. Not by any stretch of the imagination. I want him to succeed. I just don't see it happening. He's being fought at every single turn, and he's not going. I mean, I want him to succeed. I really do. But I don't think he's winning the battles that people think he's winning. I'm just too cynical when it comes to the government, as we all should be, because none of them have our best interest at heart. Not a single one of them. No matter what they say. And Biscuit says, when Redmond's thing broke, I also tinned fish has arsenic and mercury, all past all of that. Yeah, I mean, microplastics and all that stuff, you know what I mean? And Christy says, yeah, the constant debate in our community is why I wanted to talk to Amy and also why I'm excited for our talk this Saturday. I'm looking forward to that. If you guys want to catch us, we'll be live 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on my channel and Christy's channel. So join us for the conversation. It's going to be fantastic. Be sure to follow her as well. Make sure to subscribe to Christy and Meeting Wellness. She is an awesome, awesome channel. And Chris says the processed cheese isn't as bad for you if you make your own. Or buy one of the brands that is not full of seed oils or junk. It can be done. Yeah, Chris has got a recipe or two over at his channel on how to make that as well. And Mr. Biscuit says, I argue with no one in this community or outside. I like to talk about this stuff. I mean, obviously I've got a channel and we do this every week, you know, but I like to talk about things because different perspectives from everybody who comes here is important. We all need to see things from different perspectives because I only have my perspective. Yeah, insulated fanny packs. That's right. Have a little compartment for a little ice pack or something like that. You know what I'm saying? And Brenda Foley says, I begged if they would only change one thing, stop using canola vegetable oils. Mother-in-law buys it by the gallon. She has C- heart failure and stomach problems. I'd love to yell at her. But again, that's what people have been told for decades is better for you. I was even saying something the other day. Chris Cook and Natural had his channel about, on his channel, they were talking about, like, they use propaganda, or however you want to look at it, propaganda, and they use commercials. Like in the 1911, 12, 13, 14s, they were using advertisements for women. Why are you using lard and tallow? It's dirty from a slaughterhouse floor. Why not use clean Crisco? It's from a lab or whatever. It's cleaner. It's cleaner for your nice clean kitchen. It helps keep your kitchen cleaner. That's what they said. That was an article. Let's see if I can find it. Let me see if I can look this up. Let's see if I can find something here. Let's see if I can put. I love it because one of them just says, Crisco fried foods are so digestible. That's like the tagline is, they're so digestible. That's good. Trying to find the one because I remember seeing one where they were talking about how, like, your kitchen's clean. But the old ads are so dense with information. Crisco makes more palatable foods. Oh my goodness, that's crazy. It makes more palatable foods. The crust tastes flakier. I'll have to look this up and find it and give it, and so I can show you guys later on. Anyway. Evelyn says, I'll break 60 hours at 10 a.m. There you go. There you go. And Andy says, I'd stop my conversation with my niece tell her to stick with patients to actually pay for her advice. She's like, it's pissing me off. Can you tell? Oh my goodness. And Coach Angela says, I have 2 ordered. Everyone's saying congratulations to Chris. And Chris says, I love you, brother. Thank you and the folks for all your support. Got a lot of people to help it together. We can do it. That's right. That's what we're here for, to help people. Coach Angela says, my daughter that is a nurse called me last week for advice for a coworker. I told her that was my free quota for the day. Stacy says, I've ordered 3 Christmas gifts, 3 for Christmas gifts, and might need to order more. Chris and Ash are my #1 influencers. I'm excited to see them on the 23rd in Cleveland. Yeah, I love them. Those 2 are so good. They deserve everything that they get. They're working so very hard, ridiculously hard. They're making so many sacrifices. Aaron's got to go. Got to get ready to go. Have a great day, everyone. See y'all. Don't forget tonight, Amy's channel. She's interviewing Butter Bob. Butter Bob. And Chris says to Brenda, unfortunately, I won't be at Ketopalooza, and the book doesn't release until October. Yeah. Book comes out the week, like just a couple of days before KPL. I don't even know if when I'm at KPL, I think my book will be there while I'm gone. And Sean says, I don't know. I used to trust my previous doctor, 26 years. Looking back, waiting over 2 years to get my gallbladder out, waiting 12 years for another sleep study, malpractice. I mean, maybe. And I'm not saying they're all perfect. I'm not saying they're all good. But I don't think even that doctor went to work every day thinking that he was, Doofenshmirtz and he was trying to be an evil doctor. I don't think that anybody's doing it with malice. Malpractice is a whole other thing. Malpractice is incompetence. It's just mistakes. There's a lot of things about malpractice. You know what I'm saying? But like people or doctors just not good people. I don't think they're not good people. They just are dealing with bad information. And Carl says, yeah, doctors are brought up in a system that sets them up to be biased towards maintaining the system that unknowingly promotes illness. It is a personal choice to look behind the curtain. And most of them don't even realize that there's a behind the curtain. I mean, it's like, you think that there's doctors like Dr. Barry who were prescribing people and was trying to do the things himself. And he was like, I know I was compliant. I wasn't not compliant. Why was I, Dr. Barry says, why was I getting fatter? Going with the same advice I was giving other people. So if it wasn't working for me, thought it was non-compliant. That was weird. So it went, give me a second here. I got to go all the way down here. Something happened. There we go. Hi, this is the one I was on. We were talking about Chris here, looking what happens to me with the poor sleep energy drinks. Ended up having a heart attack. Yeah, I'm so glad you made that through that, brother. I was scared for a little while. You know what I mean? You got to me a few days later, and I'm like, holy shit! I am so glad you're okay. Chris is one of the friends that I met in 2023 at Ketopalooza. I think I met him a little bit before Ketopalooza, but at least we met online, but we met in person at Ketopalooza. That was pretty awesome. And we stayed in touch. I really like that. Horizon Crochet is here. Good morning, Dustin. I'm always learning something new from you. Just blows my mind. Well, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. And Stacy says, sleep apnea is marked resolved in my medical records after 6 months of Ketovore. I am blessed. You truly are. And I'm very glad. You just need to rest more, young lady. You need to rest more or you won't heal all the way. And if you and your husband are not around to be in my life for as long as possible, I will be genuinely upset. And Jen says, I do recognize your more step-by-step approach is better for those who can moderate. I like many abstain for progress. Yeah, I understand that. But I mean, at the beginning, we don't know those things, right? We don't know, are they abstaining for moderate? Abstaining doesn't necessarily work for anybody, really. But I think we have to get them to a place where they're comfortable living this lifestyle, where they're not fighting it anymore. And I think just doing what we can to get them in the door so they're not fighting it, so they're not feeling like they're giving everything up. Like I feel like when I'm talking with somebody, I've stopped smoking cigarettes. I don't drink alcohol hardly ever anymore. I've given up most carbohydrates, most added and natural sugars and all these things. I eat primarily meat, eggs, bacon, cheese. And they're like, well, I gave up coffee too. And I'm like, all right, listen, I am going to have my coffee. I've given up everything else. I truly enjoy coffee, not giving it up. But there will be people, well, if you just gave up coffee, you'd be that much better. Maybe. But my life would be more miserable because I like coffee. I liked corn dogs. I liked mac and cheese. Gave up that. But we have to work with people where they are. We just have to get them to start. We have to get them to take that first step. And we can hold their hand along the way and give them the options and give them the understanding. But you can't just data dump them into the first day, because that doesn't work either. I tried that a bunch. Data dumping people. Why aren't they just don't want to do what I'm doing. Well, I made it seem overwhelming. And we've got to make sure we're not making it overwhelming for people and giving them, it's like, you're going to do this and you're going to take away all this stuff and you're never going to have it again. And that's overwhelming to people. We just have to be cool. You know what I mean? Evelyn, I'm going to come to your house and we're going to have a talk. Okay. She says, can we talk KPL? Do you have your ticket? I'm trying. Okay. I've got, hopefully with this YouTube payment that's coming in the next 2 weeks, I will have enough to cover all of my bills, and with the money that I have already set aside for KPL, be able to afford my KPL ticket. Because people have been generous to help me out with some of that. I've got that earmarked for KPL. I just got to be able to cover my bills each month. Whoo, I'm doing the best I can, but I am coming to KPL hell or high water. I'm going to be late that first night because my son decided they were going to get married that day on a Thursday. So, Chris says, the first probe test, 195 internal temp on the pork, seeking probe tender anywhere from 195 to 205. It's almost done. Just a bit more to go. I love these up-to-date things about butts. Delicious butts. I love you, Chris. You're amazing. Oh, my goodness. And Chris says, I'd love to go to KPL again this year. I just have to play it by ear. Right now, I'm going to Meat Stock in 3 weeks. Yeah, and aren't you having a meetup at Fogo de Chao, the newly opened Fogo de Chao in the Gatlinburg area? If you want to reach out to, if you're going to Meat Stock and you want to kind of get away from all the other people and you want to go and hang out with Chris and go to Fogo de Chao, I don't know what the details are, but you can find Keto, him on his socials and all that stuff, and you can meet up with him and have dinner with him. He's doing the whole thing. And Aaron says, if the insurance company It is the insurance companies, doctors. The problem is the insurance companies, the medical, like the pharmacies, the urgent cares, and all these things are all owned by the same companies. All these companies are gigantic conglomerates that own everything. So everything's a big revolving door. So like CVS owns their own clinics. They own their own pharmacies. They own their own everything. So they own the people who moderate the prices for the drugs. They own all that stuff. So the idea that we can win with some simple headlines, I don't think so. It's going to take real, actual change on the back end of the infrastructure to dismantle these monopolies. And I understand there's a step in the right direction. But in order to see meaningful, impactful change to the way we live in this country, it's going to take a total dismantling of what we know to be true. 100%, full stop. If the insurance companies and pharma and the food conglomerates are all working together, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what RFK says. Because as soon as the next administration takes office and they pick a new person to take his spot, it's done. They'll just fix it. They'll just put it right back again. And ADA and the American Diabetes Association and the American Heart Association will be back to the status quo. No one will remember the weird upside down food pyramid. No one will care. So if we don't fix it from the inside and the back end first, it really doesn't matter what he says. And that's how I look at it. Yes, it's a step in the right direction. Finally, somebody in office is addressing it. But it's like somebody getting cut in half with a chainsaw. You put a Band-Aid on it. And I know people get angry with me about that. And I know people have, and I know there's just so much about this. I know that everybody cares about this. Well, not everybody. Most people here in our community really like him. I can't say that I'm not a fan, but I don't think he had. Again, he's only as able to do things as the majority of the people think him to be able to do. We right now are the vocal minority. We are a vocal minority when it comes to any change in the health space, whether it's food, drugs, anything. We are a vocal minority. We are a drop in the bucket. Yes, are we growing? Yes. But we have to compete with everything else. So I say I put more stock in what we are doing day in and day out than anything else happening outside of that. Yeah, and and Stacey says a majority of us. Yeah, but that's a majority of the people in this room, in this live. You go outside of it, the people on the street, I almost guarantee you nobody has any idea what he has to say, or they have no faith in him outside of this community. We are looking at this community as a whole, but we, again, are a small vocal minority, but we are doing great things for this community, with this community, slowly bringing people in by what we are doing, the progress we are showing, the weight that we lose, the medications we get off of, the things we stop having to go to the doctor, illnesses we reverse, the diabetes, all the things that happen with us. We are more impactful than that man is. So while he may say things, I don't necessarily see we will see anything truly valuable or impactful coming from it. And again, I understand that that's a very, very unpopular opinion for me to have. But that's the opinion that I have. I feel that we, you, Stacy, me, Jennifer, Aaron, Cindy, Chris, all of us have more power to make meaningful, impactful change than he does. Unless he goes in and starts getting Congress to change the back end, how pharmaceutical plays with industrial food and how they play with the medical association, how they play and how they're all interconnected and they're all just cycling money between them. We have to do the groundwork. We're the guerrilla warfare. We're the ones doing the hard work. We're the ones on the ground, the boots on the ground. We are doing the real work. And like I said, I have a very unpopular opinion in this community, and I understand that. But until something happens for me to change my opinion, that's the one I'm going to have. Damn hippies. That's right. Hippies and their black pepper. And Chris says, CPAP and his chin strap for me. Mouth breathing is also a common issue for neurodivergence. Definitely another one I have to battle. Yeah. I mean, anybody who's willing to take and be that way to other people is not cool. You know what I mean? We have to allow everybody in here, and we have to understand and respect everybody. Okay, Jeff says that let me clarify. The collar makes me breathe through my nose, so I'm still getting a mouth dry. Oh, that's crazy. That's very interesting. I'm not sure why that would happen. And Chris says, I'll say it again. I'll say it before and I'll say it again. Do you want to help people or do you want to be a douche? I want to help people. That's my goal for being here. I want to help people by any means necessary. And Chris says, if our method of teaching has subtext that sounds like you're so stupid, don't you know that blah, 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 you're not teaching. You're insulting from a place of ego under the guise of helping. Yes. Yes. I mean, we have to give people leeway. We have to give people, again, there's 8 billion people on this planet. The absolute best we can probably hope for is to get most of them to go single ingredient, whole food, semi-low carb, meat, potatoes, carrots, onions, eggs, and things like that. I think that is the best we could ever hope for. I don't think we're ever going to get 8 billion people to be carnivore. We're not going to get 8 billion people to be keto. At least not in my lifetime. We'll be lucky in our lifetime to get people to get doctors to change their entire meaning about cholesterol. By the way, the Cholesterol Code movie comes out the 17th. I think it's $5 to rent. So if you have Amazon, you don't have to have Amazon Prime to rent it. You just have to have an Amazon account. You don't have to pay for Amazon to have an Amazon account. But you can rent it for, I think it's $5 plus tax, depending where you are. That's the U.S. I don't know what Canada will be, when it'll be available in Canada. But please go out, watch the Cholesterol Code. I saw it with Chris and Ash a couple of weeks ago. It was phenomenal. I actually missed about 20 minutes in the movie, 30 minutes in the movie, because my GPS decided it was going to meander me through the backwoods. Even funny enough, Chris, when I left Tennessee, when I left the theater, it took me back in the back roads of Tennessee, and I'm like driving these windy roads trying to figure out where I'm going. I don't know what my GPS was doing that day. Just like, you need to drive in the middle of nowhere in the dark where you don't know where you're going. All of it. Terry says, you got me hooked on Nescafe. I love it. The jar says 100% coffee, so I'm good with that. I hope so. That's what it tells me. It just says coffee. I mean, because unfortunately with coffee, there's no ingredients list. Even with the flavored coffees, you may get coffee in, obviously there's artificial or natural flavorings in those coffees, like when you're dealing with like French vanilla or whatever. That doesn't mean there's any sweeteners or anything in it, but there's a slight flavor in there. But this is, I mean, I've had no real issues with it. It's good. We have it on order. They send us 3 jars at a time. I love it. I love it, love it, love it. Carl says, advertisements in the 50s, I mean, included sugar is healthy. I mean, realistically, advertisements back then were the wild, wild west. They could say whatever they wanted. They could say whatever they like. Which cigarettes does your doctor prefer? Like, you need these for stress. Like, wow. I mean, we've come a long way. But like, people still need to realize that when you're at the grocery store, the front of any packaging, whether it's meat or anything, the front's marketing. The back is where they're supposed to give you the information. Yeah, Sean knows. Sean knows old government cheese. Yes, 1950s. My doctor prefers Chesterfields. Yeah, Terry says, even like Michelle Obama tried to change school diets too. That never went over well. But I think she was even trying to do it to like a plant-based. I think she was even trying to do plant-based. Let me see. Let me look that up. I want to see. Let me see what she has to say. Michelle championed the Healthy, Hunger-Free Kids Act of 2010 to combat childhood obesity by setting stricter nutritional standards for school meals. As detailed in the Obama-era school nutrition policy overview, key changes included requiring more fruits, vegetables, and whole grains while limiting sodium, calories, and trans fats. So that the whole idea, so some of the pushback I remember from this, if I'm remembering correctly, some of the pushback was some of these kids in schools, that might be the only food they get. So cutting back on calories seems good in the interim. But again, some of these kids and these like the kids who are getting school lunches, like our granddaughter, we pack her lunch every day. I go and I give her, she gets fruit, she gets eggs and cheese and all these things. I make sure she gets a good, solid lunch. Sometimes she gets some crap in there. She gets some whatever she likes. Whatever mommy and daddy buy for her, I still have to put in her lunchbox sometimes. But I try to make sure the overwhelming majority of it is fresh fruit that I cut in the morning, you know, eggs, cheese, some kind of other kinds of protein and things that she will actually eat. Because it doesn't matter what I put in the lunchbox if she comes home and it's still in there. But limiting calories for the kids that get these school lunches, that might be the only thing they get. So if you lower the calorie intake, they're not getting any other food. Now, it should be healthier. They should be getting more protein. The problem is most people don't get enough protein, and we know that. And one of the things, I think it was who was talking about this the other day? I think it was Joe. Joe and Rachel were talking about this on Thursday. They were talking about the idea of what moderate protein is. Moderate protein should be the bare minimum of protein. A moderate protein diet should be the bare minimum of protein. So like when we think ketogenic lifestyle is a moderate protein diet, that doesn't mean you're under eating protein. You should be at least hitting the bare minimum of protein. A high protein diet might be something like what bodybuilders do, are getting 400 grams of protein, but most of that's powders and, you know, all these things and all these other sources of protein, right? But I see this and I'm like, yeah, whole grains doesn't help. Reduced unhealthy ingredients, sodium, trans fats. Like the thing is trans fats are only bad if they're the manufactured type. The naturally occurring trans fats aren't even that big of a deal. Again, but milk standard permitted only fat-free or low-fat 1%. We should be giving our kids 2% or whole milk. But again, vending machines apply nutrition standards to snacks and drinks sold on campus. Even usually that's only sold after school is done for sporting events, kids who are going to sports. I don't know. I just think that we have this bastardized version of what health is, and we keep pushing our own agendas, and we keep going with this back and forth, and we're never going to hit any meaningful actual change when it comes to the nutrition standards for this country, unless we can get pharma out of it. We can get food manufacturers out of it. We can get all of the bad science out of it. We have to make these meaningful, impactful changes, or we're just going to keep running in circles chasing our tails. And Biscuit says, I crust government cheese for the better part of a decade. I ate it when a whole thing. Kelly, the Missouri Carnivore, is here. Good morning from Higbee, Missouri. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So very glad to see you. Let's see. People saying hello. I'm so far behind. Janet from another planet is here. Hello, Janet. Good to see you, my dear. How are you? Biscuit says, Florence Henderson gave me Wessonality in the 70s. Yeah, Wesson. Brian says, I don't need no stinking fanny pack. Jerky, easier and cheaper. No fanny pack, no ice. Jerky is not cheaper unless you're making it yourself. Even still, these days, it's super expensive. I think purse bacon is probably better. A more affordable tactic. Terry Girl says, going on the third day of rain. It really helps with catching up on sleep. Rain is it really, really is relaxing. It truly, really is. I am trying to get through these because I'm so far behind. JJ's in the house. Hello, JJ. Very glad to see you, my friend. Good morning, y'all, he says. And if I've missed anybody, please accept my apologies. And Kelly, the Missouri Carnivore, says, I'm looking forward to KPL in October. Me too. So it shows me that I am 24 minutes behind in the chat, but I'm not getting any new chats. So I don't know what's going on after this. After we've got Stacy says here, Stacy, for me, my body, Dr. Sivas says no extended fasting. Do you who do these fast have regular doctor appointments and labs? So I don't know what's going on outside of that. I can see what's going on here, but I don't know. I can't bring them up on screens. So I think we are at almost 2 hours since this is, let me hold on a second. Hang tight. Let me refresh and see if I can get this fixed. Okay. Hold on a second, ladies and gentlemen. Hold on a second. It might lose you. I don't know. All right. Let me know if you can hear me. Let me know if you can see me. All right, let me scroll down and see where I'm at. Let's see if that worked. Yes, Cindy is live at 4 p.m. today. Chris has got to take off. It's about time to bring the butt off the smoker. Y'all have an amazing Sunday. Love y'all. Love you, Dustin. Thank you for all you do. Thank you, my friend. Have a great day. Give our love to Ash and Mel. Amy and Butter Bob will be tonight. Oh. Shelly's in the house. Hello, dear. How are you? I've missed you. I'm a little late. I'll catch the replay. We love you. I'm glad you're here. Biscuit says, I did keto for a year before the light went off and I controlled my addiction. Yeah, I mean, it took me a long time to really come to terms with how the depth of my addictions, the depth that took me a long time. And I don't think anybody pressuring me or walking alongside me telling me that I needed to do this and this would have made it any different. That's like all the years that I was fat. People are like, oh, you're fat. That didn't make me change anything. I knew I was fat. And Stacy, you know, as a retired nurse, I had believed in the system, took over 20 medications, and now take 2 prescriptions for thyroid by Dr. Cybus. But at the time when you were doing and helping people, you weren't doing anything out of malice. You were doing as you were instructed at nursing school, right? The things you would learn along the way after being at a nursing school. You slowly may have learned various things, but you didn't do anything out of malice. You were doing what you were taught and the information you learned in nursing school and the things you learned from instructors and doctors along the way, right? How to treat patients, how to do bedside, all these things. And JJ says, my wife's sister keeps bragging about how great she feels of giving up coffee. I looked at my wife and said, good for her. I agree. I've gone a year plus without coffee. Did it change my life? Reason I drink coffee now is I went over a year without it. I didn't notice any major improvements that would make me decide to not drink it anymore. I like coffee too much. If there was any true benefit from it, it wasn't enough to be detectable at the time. And Stacy says, going on the 2KK birthday cruise is cheaper than everything for KPL. If I go on a 2KK cruise, I better stay on one of them islands because I ain't coming back. Because Chandra is going to have my hide. So me going to KPL is already kind of a thing. She looks at it as like, Dustin goes on vacation and leaves me to go to work. So, yeah. Chris says it's Gaucho Urbana in Pigeon Forge on Friday, May 1st at 6:30 p.m. after the first day of meat stock. So reach out. So far, he has 55 people attending. That's impressive, my friend. Impressive, impressive. Brick says, I never even got government cheese. There are warehouses full of it. There's warehouses underground full of cheese. Just go to a random congressman and be like, hey, you got any of that government cheese? But if you got government cheese, would you even eat it, Rick? Do you even like cheese? I'm sure you do. I think you eat cheese sometimes with your heart attack burgers, right? Biscuit says, in 1981, half my diet was government cheese. That's right. The Velveeta decade. The government cheese we got was not government. It was like, it came in a package like government. It came in a package like Velveeta, like came in a cardboard thing and was covered with like a foil, like the foil packaging the Velveeta comes in, but it was like a cheddar. It wasn't Velveeta. It wasn't slippery, slimy. But Chris makes a cool Velveeta. You can make a Velveeta like Chris. Sunny day. Good morning, my dear. How are you? Good morning, Dustin and chat. Glad to see you, Sonny. So very glad to see you. I feel like I haven't caught one of your lives in a long time. I just haven't had a chance to sit down and like get a chance to go and check anybody's lives out like that, like especially during the day. Keeping me busy. Terry says, it feels like some carnivores have, they get into this dogmatic thing where they're like vegans. That's true. Some hateful tactics, you know, and I mean, we can come into this and we can talk about what we do for ourselves that makes all of this possible. Okay. So like if you are a person that histamine bothers you or that, you know, you've cut everything, including pepper because of oxalates and stuff. To me, it sounds ridiculous to cut out pepper for oxalates. But I don't have an issue with that. I've had one kidney stone, I think, once. And I doubt it was the pepper that gave it to me. It was everything else that I ate. My diet was horrendous. So who knows what caused me to have that gallstone. Or kidney stone, rather. I'm surprised I never had gallbladder issues. My brother had his removed. And Jen says, a great many are truly all or none. Yes, but we have to get them there. The problem with the all or none is at the beginning, do you want them to do all or do you want them to do none? Because in the beginning, you're trying to convince them that this way is appropriate. So an all or none is an ultimatum that's probably not going to go in our favor. So when we're dealing with the majority of people out there who are eating whatever they want, coming to them with an ultimatum saying you either eat this way or you don't, they're just not gonna. That's where an all or nothing in the beginning is the problem. When they get to where we are, sure, they can narrow it down over time and get to where they find what works for them. But having that all or nothing ultimatum in the very beginning, it's not going to work. People don't work that way. You got to this all or nothing on your own. You've come to that conclusion on your own through years of trial and error. This isn't from day one. You didn't do this day one. And just because we have this idea that we know better doesn't translate to them because they don't care. They just don't. They're not there yet. They're still mourning the loss of all the things they're going to be giving up. All I can eat is meat and burgers and chicken and I can't have this bread and crackers and potato chips and I can't have my mashed potatoes. They're mourning the loss of their food. They're mourning the loss of their lifestyle, their everything that they've grown up with. So giving them an ultimatum, if someone was like, hey, do you if they were like, eat this if you want to live. I'm like, I guess I don't. Maybe. It took me a long time to get to where I was ready to even consider doing something better. I had tried all the calorie shit back in the day, but it still afforded me the ability to eat what I wanted. I can still go for pizza sometimes. I can still do whatever I wanted. But this all or nothing in the very beginning isn't going to get people through the door. Our goal here is to get people in the door, to at least get them to consider making these changes to save their self. But if we make it unappealing, they're not going to do it. That's why people would rather start off with a pill, a shot, surgery. Because they would rather do those things than give up the foods they want. Now, I understand that comes from a massive place of addiction. It's addiction. It's everything that they live. But you can't come to somebody who is at a junction of their life where they have to make these decisions and say it's all or nothing. Because it's not going to work. People are going to walk the other way. And again, my goal here with this channel, with everything, is to help as many people as I can. Now, it would be amazing if I said, hey, cut out all this, you can eat this, and you'll be fine. And they'll be like, let's go. And that might happen sometimes. There's going to be a few people here and there that are like, cool, let's do it. Let's purge the house. Let's do what we got to do. But that's the exception, not the rule. We have to be open-minded and be willing to be able to walk with these people and guide them in a way that doesn't send them packing, doesn't send them running. That's the most important piece of this puzzle. Again, like I say, all of us here in this chat today, we've been refining what we do for ourselves for most of us the better part of a decade. I started in 2016. I'm not where I'm at today, day one. I wasn't where I'm at now, day one. I wasn't ready. I didn't know. I also wasn't ready to get, I did a lot. I gave up a lot that day. Those first few weeks, we didn't even have any treats. I remember the first time we got some kind of like no sugar added ice cream and put some whipped cream on it, some sugar-free chocolate chips. I thought I was in heaven. And I'm not trying to be controversial. But like, we want to bring people in. We want to make sure we're getting as many people as we can here. And I would say carnivore the best human diet? The best human diet for you is one you are going to find satiating, one that you can live sustainably on consistently, that helps you thrive. Be that single ingredient whole foods, lower in carbs, primarily focusing on protein and fats, meat, bacon, eggs, or keto, or ketovore, or carnivore. There's a wide spectrum open to you to play around and choose from. Do I think carnivore is best for everyone? No. We didn't evolve on strict carnivore. Now, will a lot of people benefit from carnivore? Absolutely. Does that mean they're going to be carnivores for life? No. Is carnivore a good place to start? It can be. Very well could be and could be. It depends on where you're coming from. There's a lot of factors. That's one thing that Amy Berger talked about in Christy's chat yesterday. There's no black and white this or that answer. It depends. What's going to be sustainable for you? There's no point in trying to do carnivore if you can't stick to it. And then that's where people are like, well, you're not carnivoring hard enough. You didn't cut out pepper. That's why you didn't stick with it. Figuring out what is best for you takes time. I've been doing this for 10 years. Now, I know that being as close to being in a ketogenic state is best for me. How I get there is a whole other thing. Yeah. And Stacey says, have you listened to any of his open chats? He's reaching to little people who want to fix things too. He's got to go to the back end. He just has to. We can't make meaningful, impactful change without changing the government, without changing the companies who run this stuff. We are doing, he can talk to us all day long, but it's not gonna fix Pfizer. It's not going to fix General Mills. It's not going to fix those things because there's trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars at play here. I want him to fix things. I want him to go in and make the changes that we need. I want him to succeed. I honestly want, he's the best person right now, I think, that could be saying all this stuff. I think. But there's so much in the back end that has to change before it's going to mean anything. And I mean, yes, it's finally nice to say somebody's like, oh, we got to switch out vegetable oil for tallow. We got to eat more meat. And yes, that's amazing. That's fantastic. But at the end of the day, we're already saying that. Dub Bad says, my insulin is bad. Why are bodybuilders the leanest in the world? Legitimate question. So bodybuilders are lean because being lean and having a very low percent body fat and being dehydrated shows off their muscles. So bodybuilders are not good for long-term health. Most bodybuilders, when they're at a show and they're in a competition, are the most unhealthy they're ever going to be. They're dehydrated, they're emaciated. You can see every vein and every muscle they have because they've worked themselves down to such a low body fat percentage and water. They've dehydrated themselves just so you can see their muscles pop. So bodybuilders in that capacity are not the people to look at for the right things to do. And a lot of bodybuilders will use insulin to grow muscles. Not good. They'll use maltodextrin to grow muscles. You can buy maltodextrin in big bags because bodybuilders use it. Bodybuilders will get done with their workouts and eat bags of Skittles. Sherry Lynn is here. Glad to see you, Sherry. So very glad to see you. And Stacy says, my moderation has to be none. Yeah. A lot of people have to be zero when it comes to moderation, but you didn't figure that out day one. It's just taken a long time and working with various physicians and doctors like Dr. Sivas and all these things to get to where you understand yourself. That's what I'm trying to say is when we're dealing with people who are just starting, we got to be you got to meet them where they are. They're not going to be exactly where they need to be day one because they don't have any idea. They have to figure it out. Hello, everyone. I'm here. Work this lifestyle every day. Hope to be an inspiration to others. You are for being here. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Josephine's out of here. Glad to see you. I'm glad that you were here. Thankful for you. I love cheese. Cheese is delicious. I try to avoid it more often than I eat it. I'm having more cheese recently. Steph is here. I haven't seen you in a while. Hello. How are you, Stephanie Exploding Darkness? How are you, Stephanie? I'm so very glad to see you. Haven't seen you in a while. I've seen you in 2K Case chats. I didn't think you loved me anymore. But here you are. Probably just didn't want to get up early. I feel you. And Biscuit says, changing relationship with food was key to my success. The healing sustains me in time of doubt or addiction. And it just takes time to figure it out. It takes time to dial it in. Kelly says, there are so many live streams out there. You be doing a live stream and watching another live stream at the same time. My lives are on Sundays at 3 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Eastern. Fantastic. Make sure that people are taking a look at Kelly, going and subscribing to Kelly. Mrs. JMW says, look at me, 40 years to get here, 40 years of trying to figure out how to stop yo-yoing, how to stop, to be sick and tired of being sick and tired. 100%. I didn't start this till my 10 years, I'm 46, till I was like 35 years old. And Biscuit says, I had to internalize that food is not entertainment for me. Some can look at it the way, and those moderators, my addictions cannot manage. Yeah, I have to be mindful of that too. I have to struggle to turn down food. I do. I have to be mindful. I have to do it. I'm doing it every day. Angela is riding her bike to church. I hope you are safe and sound. Thank you for being here. Enjoy your day. Lance is here. Good morning, Lance. How are you? I'm glad to see you. And Terry says, too bad stores don't lay out do a layout that has all the whole food one side, the danger zone food. They mix it all together. And then they have a health food section. So what's the rest of it? I love it. I am Stephanie is asking if there's going to be an Indiana meetup anytime. I'm working on maybe trying to get something like at a BW3 somewhere, maybe try to get it somewhere in town, somewhere, I don't know. We'll figure something out. I don't know. Just pay it to just keep here and we'll figure it out. I'm also going to be working on my giveaway. I've received word back from all of the people that I've reached out to, except for Chosen Foods. They never reached back to me. So that's a thing. That's okay. I didn't really expect them to reach back out to me anyway. But every other company that I've worked with, I'm just waiting to get everything in hand so I can make a video showing you everything. One of the prizes will be a gift certificate, so you can go in and pick what you want. So you can pick what you as clean as you want or whatever. So be mindful of that. So we're gonna have some cool stuff to give away. I've got a whole bunch of stuff. We're just gonna pack it full. We're gonna have a good time. So be mindful of my giveaway. For the 10,000 subscribers, I'm at 10,300 and something right now, which is crazy. Like 300 subscribers in like less than 2 weeks. That's crazy to me. But anyway, let's see. My question on the bodybuilder was one that if insulin is bad, how do they get so lean? A lot of people do in the keto community go off the blood sugar insulin route so they're using more insulin to bulk, because what insulin does is it's kind of, I don't know if I have the right way to explain it, but they use insulin to gain muscle, right? So they're controlling how much fat they take in. They're utilizing extreme amounts of protein, eating lots of lean chicken and lean meats and protein powders. They're doing that all day. A lot, like I've seen like The Rock, he'll have like 30 meals in a day or some crazy thing like that, maybe 10 meals in a day. It's all lean chicken and rice. They're just eating and eating and eating and weightlifting, and they're in the gym 12 hours a day. So bodybuilders live in the gym or the kitchen. So there's that. The dragsters are awake. You can hear the dragsters in the distance. The dragsters are awake. I live not far from a drag strip, a major NHRA drag strip. But yeah, so yeah, I don't know. Like you can't utilize or look at bodybuilders with any kind of, unless you have aspirations to be a bodybuilder. But even then, like when they go to those competitions, you see them, like they're spray tanned. And I'm not trying to talk down to bodybuilders. I know some amazing bodybuilders. There's some amazing bodybuilders in our community. But they're not the healthiest when they get to their competition. And they do everything just to get bigger. They're not trying to lose weight. Biscuits out of here. Take care. Lance didn't find this way of eating until he was 57. Robbie, what is this? 100,000, 1 million. Robbie 1 million. Is that 1 million? Yeah, I had to like use my cursor here to see it. That's Robbie 1 million. Hi, Dustin. This is the first time watching. I've been carnivore keto and I only eat 2 meals at night for 2 years. Never felt better. I only eat grass-fed beef, cheese, avocado, and eggs. Sounds fantastic. Sounds like it's working out really well for you. I don't eat most beef is grass-fed. I eat the cheaper grain-finished stuff from Walmart or wherever I can get it. But that's fantastic for you. And I'm glad that you're here. Welcome. I hope you enjoy and you keep coming back and watching us. I think with that, I'm caught up with the chat. We've been going for 2 hours, 16 minutes, 25 seconds. With that, I still don't think I have all of these chats. I don't know what's going on here. I'm not seeing everything. I don't know what's going on. There's something weird here. I'm not getting it all. But anyway, things are glitching out. With that, I think I'm going to go ahead and say goodbye. I love each and every one of you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for everything. Thank you for being here. I appreciate each and every one of you. Are you on the live chat? I've got the live chat over here, and then I've got another chat that brings in everything over here. So they're not matching up. It's weird. So I don't know what's going on. But anyway, I just want to say thanks to all of you. I love each and every one of you. I can't wait to hang out with you again on Tuesday. Look out for more content from me. Hang out with everybody who's going live today, Cindy and Amy. And there was somebody else going live at 3 or 4 o'clock. I think it was up there. Love you all. Here are those credits. All right, everybody.